The moment I walked into my brother's engagement party, the music dipped just slightly like the room itself had taken a breath. Crystal chandeliers threw warm light across marble floors. Champagne glasses clinked, and laughter bounced off the high ceilings of the ballroom. It was elegant, expensive, carefully curated, and absolutely not a place anyone expected me to be. I knew that from the way conversations paused when people noticed my face. Not because I was late, not because I looked out of place, but because, in their minds, I didn't belong here at all. My name is Elena, and in my family, I was the embarrassment. I adjusted the strap of my simple black dress and took another step inside. I hadn't come to make a scene. I hadn't even planned to stay long. I was here because my brother, Daniel, had invited me quietly, almost apologetically after years of barely speaking. But the moment his fiancée saw me, everything changed. Vanessa. Tall, perfectly styled hair. Diamond earrings that probably cost more than my first apartment. She leaned toward her bridesmaids, covered her mouth with manicured fingers, and whispered something I didn't need to hear to understand. Her eyes flicked to me, then her lips curled. "Oh," she said, not quietly enough, she actually came. A ripple of laughter followed. Someone else added, "I thought this was a private event." Another voice, sharper, "Daniel, you didn't say you were inviting." Everyone. I stood still, my heels planted firmly on the polished floor, my expression calm. Inside, though, something old stirred something familiar. This wasn't new. I'd grown up with this tone, this judgment, this assumption that I was the one who fell short. Vanessa finally turned fully toward me, her smile razor thin. "Elena, right?" she said, as if tasting the name. "Wow, I almost didn't recognize you." That was a lie. She recognized me immediately. "You look different," she continued. "I mean, I thought you'd still be, traveling. Figuring things out. Traveling. Figuring things out. That's what they call being broke, lost, a failure." Before I could respond, my aunt chimed in, wine glass raised. "Daniel always had such ambition. We worried some people in the family didn't inherit that." Her eyes met mine. Then there was laughter again. I smiled politely, because what none of them knew, what no one in that room knew, was that every insult was landing on someone who had already survived far worse. And won. I excused myself and moved toward the bar, aware of the whispers trailing behind me like smoke. Why is she even here? I heard she cut ties years ago. Didn't she fail at that business thing? Classic Elena, always showing up where she doesn't belong. The bartender asked what I wanted. "Water," I said. Clear head, steady hands. Across the room, Daniel stood near the stage, laughing nervously as his future in-laws surrounded him. He looked happy but tense. When our eyes met, guilt flickered across his face. He didn't come over. I didn't blame him. This wasn't his fight. Vanessa, however, seemed determined to make it one. She approached again, this time with her mother beside her, a woman whose pearls were as tight as her smile. "So," Vanessa said brightly, "are you working these days, Elena? Or still exploring?" Her mother laughed softly. "Vanessa, dear, don't put her on the spot." But that was exactly what they were doing. "I work," I replied calmly. "Oh," Vanessa raised an eyebrow. "Doing what?" I could feel eyes turning toward us. This was entertainment now. "I run a company," I said. There it was, the pause. Then laughter, louder this time. Vanessa tilted her head. "A company?" "Yes," her mother smiled indulgently. "That's adorable." Someone muttered, "Everyone's an entrepreneur these days." Vanessa leaned closer, her voice dripping with false concern. "Well, if you ever need connections, venues, investors, this crowd is selective. But I'm sure you understand. I did. I understood perfectly. Because this venue, this magnificent ballroom, the staff moving seamlessly, the security at every door, the custom floral arrangements Vanessa had bragged about for weeks. I recognized every detail, because I approved them 3 years earlier. But I said nothing. Not yet. The engagement toast began soon after. Daniel spoke. Vanessa cried. Applause filled the room. Glasses rose. And as everyone celebrated, I quietly stepped outside into the cool evening air, letting the city lights stretch out before me. This building, this venue, had once been an abandoned shell when I first bought it. No one had believed in the project. Banks had rejected me. Family had laughed. "You'll lose everything," my mother had said back then. "Stop embarrassing yourself," my uncle had added. "Be realistic," Daniel had warned. So I walked away. From them. From expectations. From permission. And I built anyway. Inside, the party was reaching its peak. Music louder. Drinks flowing. Vanessa glowing with confidence, certain of her place at the center of everything. She had no idea. None of them did. Because the reveal wasn't coming with a speech. It was coming with a signature. And the moment it happened, the laughter would stop. I stood outside for a moment longer than necessary, letting the cool air settle my pulse. Through the glass doors, I could still hear the music, the laughter, the confidence of people who believed the world had already chosen them as winners. I checked my phone. One unread message. 5 words. Exactly on time. "We're ready when you are." I slipped the phone back into my clutch and walked inside. The energy had shifted. The band was finishing a song. Guests were refilling drinks. And Vanessa was in her element posing for photos, holding Daniel's arm like a trophy she'd earned. As I crossed the room, her eyes met mine again, and this time she didn't bother hiding the smirk. She thought I was leaving embarrassed. She thought she'd won. The venue manager stepped onto the small stage near the head table, tapping the microphone gently. The room quieted. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said warmly, "if I could have your attention for just a moment." Vanessa frowned slightly. This wasn't on the schedule. "We have a small administrative matter to address before the next portion of the evening." Administrative. Her father shifted in his seat. "What kind of matter?" The manager glanced down at a tablet, then looked up directly at me. "Miss Elena Moreno," he said clearly. "Would you mind joining us for a moment?" The room froze. Every head turned. Vanessa's smile vanished. Why would she? Daniel looked between us, confused. I walked forward calmly, heels echoing against the marble floor. No rush. No drama. Just certainty. The manager continued, his tone professional. "As part of our standard policy, any event exceeding a certain value requires final confirmation from ownership if changes are made within 48 hours. Vanessa's mother laughed nervously. "Ownership? This is ridiculous. We booked this venue months ago." "Yes," he said. "You did. Through your event planner. However, yesterday evening, an adjustment was requested: additional security, expanded bar service, and a late-night extension." Vanessa nodded proudly. "Yes, of course. Spare no expense." The manager turned the tablet so the audience could see the document. "The approval for that request," he said, "requires authorization from the owner." Silence pressed down on the room. He looked at me again. "And Miss Moreno is the sole owner of this property." For a split second, no one reacted. Then the air seemed to collapse inward. Vanessa laughed sharp, disbelieving. "That's not funny. It's not a joke," the manager replied. Her father stood abruptly. "This venue belongs to the Marlowe Group." "Yes," the manager said. "And Ms. Moreno owns the Marlowe Group." Whispers exploded. No way. That can't be right. Is this some kind of setup? Daniel's face drained of color. Elena, I met his eyes, calm but unwavering. I tried to tell you years ago, I said softly. You didn't listen. Vanessa took a step back, shaking her head. You're lying. I reached into my clutch and handed the manager a slim folder. You can proceed. He opened it, nodded, then addressed the room again. Due to a breach of conduct policy toward ownership, we will be concluding this event earlier than planned. Staff will assist guests accordingly. Vanessa's mother gasped. You can't do this. I can, I said. My voice wasn't loud, but it carried. And I am. Vanessa turned on me, eyes blazing. You did this on purpose. You humiliated me. I looked at her, really looked. No, I said. You did that yourself. I just stopped protecting you from the truth. Daniel stepped forward. Elena, please, this is my engagement. And this, I replied gently, is my building. My staff, my reputation. You allowed people to insult me here. You laughed. He had no answer. Around us, guests were already gathering coats, murmuring in disbelief. Phones were out. The story was spreading faster than the music ever had. Vanessa's confidence shattered completely. You could have told me. I did, I said. You just didn't believe someone like me could own something like this. Security approached discreetly, waiting for instruction. I nodded once. The manager leaned toward Vanessa. We'll escort you to retrieve personal items. She stared at me, eyes wet now, not with remorse, but rage. You think you've won? She hissed. I met her gaze evenly. I won years ago. Tonight was just paperwork. As the room emptied, Daniel lingered. Why didn't you ever come back? He asked quietly. I thought of the nights I'd slept in my car. The meetings where men twice my age dismissed me. The family calls that stopped when I stopped apologizing. Because no one here wanted me until they thought I had something to give, I said. He lowered his head. I walked out last, the doors closing softly behind me. Outside, the city hummed, indifferent and alive. My phone buzzed again, messages from partners, congratulations, alerts. But I didn't look at them. I just stood there, breathing, knowing something important had finally ended. Not the engagement, the illusion. They had mocked me at my brother's engagement. They had no idea who owned the venue. And now, they would never forget.